Hi, everyone. Thank you for finding me. So, this is a first. Well, I should say this is a first on purpose for me. This is a live to anyone on YouTube live session. The only little speed bump I did add, if you're finding me, is you have to be a subscriber to make a comment. You don't have to be a member, but you do have to be a subscriber to make a comment. You don't have to be a subscriber to hang out. But if you want to contribute to the conversation, which of course I would love, you do have to just click that subscribe. It's a pretty low, low bar. There's not like a time limit or anything. You just have to become a subscriber, then you can comment. And I'm already seeing so many names I already recognize. Thank you for finding me on an unusual, well, it's not really so much an unusual day and time, but instead of TikTok, we're here on YouTube. Which, I want to set expectations from the beginning. I don't know. I mean, I'm not at all committing to weekly or even regularly for that matter, but I was called to put this session on the schedule. And here we are. So hi, Malika. Hi, Sabrina. Hi, Kat. Hi, Lindsay. Hi, Carrie from London. We did it. We're international. Hi, Sandy. Hi, Soul Riser. Hi, Efrain from Brazil. Once again, international. I love it. Hi, Janet. Hi, Kimberly. Hi, Robin. Heather. Steve from California. Thanks for finding me. Stephanie is here. Yay. Hi, Stephanie. Hi. Hello to Neva. Did I say that right? Neva. Hello. Happy birthday. Whose birthday? I see someone saying happy birthday or Sunday at share birthday. Did I miss someone's birthday? I can't see you all. Like it's already coming in and I don't want to be. Oh, hi, Angie. I see you saying hello. Lane July, did I say hello to you in Wisconsin? Hi, everybody. Hi, Paige. Dale's here. Hi, Dale. Lindsay's here. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for saying hello. It's coming in, and I can't say quite hi to everyone. Oh, hi, Laura. Laura from Circle Pines. I had to say hi to you, Laura. So I want to just welcome any of you who are brand new to me. This might be the first time you're seeing me live. So I'm so glad you're here. And maybe you are finding me on the replay, but also like for the first time. So thank you for being here. This is, as I was starting to say in the beginning, this is the first time I'm doing this on purpose. I only did it once before, meaning, a live to anyone who happens to stumble upon me. I did it once before, but that was not on purpose. That was because there was like some kind of paperwork glitch with YouTube and they didn't let me go behind the wall of the membership. So that's what I've been doing ever since then. So again, I want to say welcome to those of you who are finding me because you're a subscriber or just, I don't know, a passerby, not a member. This is a little bit of, I don't know, I guess a taste test, little sampling of what you can find here. And then I just really want to say an extra special thank you to those of you who are a member. We now have 3 levels. If you did nothing in the last, couple weeks, then you're still considered a basic member. And if you want to change that, the trick is to go on your computer, on your laptop or whatever, go to youtube.com, look at your membership, just make sure you're in the one you want. If you did nothing, you're still basic, which means you won't get this kind of thing within the community. You'll get this whenever I go live to the world, but not to the protected community. I'm just listening to what they want to say about that. I did just a few minutes ago post a welcome message to all of those who have opted into the highest level, which is called Inner Divinity Immersion. that's going to tell you how to find our office hours that's coming up on Saturday. So if you're not seeing that, if you don't see that, when you stop paying attention to this, then hang on. Then okay, so yeah, just I'm just like kind of hearing multiple voices like reminding me of things. So yeah, so that was reminder number one. If you want to continue getting my live sessions for the smaller community, just make sure you choose one of the options, one of the there's two options that get you the lives, but then there's one that gets you the Zoom office hours, which is starting on Saturday, where you're going to come on camera if you choose to. No requirements, but we'll actually work together. You can pull out your rods. We'll dig in. Okay, that was probably enough of a commercial, because really I want to focus on, what wants to come through, what questions you might have. I don't intend to answer all of your questions. I absolutely intend to be inspired by your questions and kind of what's on your mind, but I, won't be able to answer everything. Let's see. Interesting. I'm seeing your notes about synchronicities. If any of you have been learning the rods with me or pendulum, I'm a rods person, but you might be a pendulum person. The point is divination. You are welcome to work along with me as I go. But before we go too much farther, there's a couple steps that I've been invited to take. Partly, because this is an open community and my energy is going to feel a little bit different. They already told me. And also because it's an opportunity for you to learn. It's always an opportunity for you to learn, and me for that matter. So I want to start by just showing you off camera. I've got a candle burning. This is not what I consider to be my protection candle. This is what they tell me to consider a utility candle. So let me just show you what I'm going to do next. I've got a little piece of Palo Santo, and I'll get to your comments in just a minute. Hang on. So this is what it looks like, to just cleanse the air, cleanse the energy, cleanse the space we're creating together, including on the replay, because not to jump right into some of these concepts that we call brain melty, but sorry, I'm just distracted by that message from Alice about synchronicities. Yes, and 3i Alice. Yep, yes. Okay, thank you, Alice. Just wanted to acknowledge Alice. They're saying do this one more time because I was a little distracted. Actually, that was on purpose. So thank you, Alice, because they wanted me to get to demonstrate that if that happens in your practice, if you're like, "Ooh, what's that?" Just reset. So we're just cleansing again. I'm cleansing the air, like kind of the symbolic connection between you and me. I'm also connecting the platform, the symbolic platform of YouTube, and I'm cleansing myself. It's always good to be a good cleansed channel. For the record, I also have already opened myself to be a channel. I do that every morning because I see clients most days, and even just in my own practice when I'm downloading messages to share or just in my own practice. I spend a lot of time maintaining my connection in my personal practice so that I can show up for you like this. And one of those things is to just make sure I'm always a cleansed channel. Okay, they wanted me to demonstrate that. They also wanted me to, hang on, I thought I had my tuning fork. Yes, I do. Another method of cleansing from a frequency perspective is with tuning forks. They do not have to be fancy and expensive. In fact, when I first got this message downloaded of, is there a frequency that is good to add to the steps of just being a good, clean channel. And they said yes. And they said the frequency is 444 or 440. And they had me order several options. And then they had me return all of them except for this little pack. It came in a pack of 3 little travel ones. I've given them to some of you who have traveled with me. And they even say in the pack of 3, not all of them are going to be perfect, but it's not only the pitch, it's the intention. So that being said, yeah, they're wanting me to put this next bit into the chat. Stand by. And they're also telling me in the future, be ready for this request because we're going to tell you to do it all the time. So stand by. So for those of you who are brand new to me, I mean, you're just kind of jumping into some, what I used to think of as kind of advanced moves. The way that they taught me. Okay, so I'm going to put this in the chat now. Hopefully you just can see that. On my screen, it's highlighted in yellow. It says Divine Magic. That's the one I'm talking about. So it says, I demand, well, let me go ahead and model it with the tuning fork. So what I do this is what I do every day. I do this in the morning and the evening at least once each, often twice or maybe 3 times if I'm feeling the need. So I ring it. It's not even very loud, but I'll ring it. So that's what it sounds like. It's very, very soft. And then I say these words: I demand release from all influence, communication, and control of thoughts, feelings, words, and deeds. And again, I'm just going to do it for a second time for good measure. I demand release from all influence, communication, and control of thoughts, feelings, words, and deeds. Now that we have our space, I want to say a couple more words about protection and what we're protecting ourselves from. We're not protecting ourselves from demons. We're not protecting ourselves from anything that can harm us. Because none of these interdimensional beings, who are very, very real, but they cannot harm us. Good, bad, neutral, there's no judgment. They're all in the category of interdimensional beings. If you characterize anything as a demon, that's up to you. I don't recommend it. But the point is that every interdimensional spirit has some amount of potential for influence, is the phrase they're wanting me to use there. So they want you to know, I mean, welcome to this conversation. If you're brand new, this is, again, you're just kind of jumping in, but interdimensional energies, or the better word to think of them as, is consciousness. Very, very real. And anyone can learn to connect with them. They express in different methods. They express what might feel most familiar to at least some percentage of us who are raised in, say, a Christian framework, might get like a nice warm fuzzy if we think of them as angels. Some of us might enjoy thinking of them as aliens. If you've been with me for all last year, I talk about aliens all the time. And you might be asking yourself, what's the difference between angels and aliens? Well, the short answer is not much. A little bit, but not much is the answer to that question. But they don't want to go into that. That was just kind of illustrating a point. They just wanted me to set the foundation of anyone can learn divination. Anyone can connect to interdimensional beings. But the interdimensional beings you connect with, that's where you just have to really use your discernment. And that, if you're new to this conversation, get used to hearing that word, because those of you who are not new hear that from me all the time. That's going inward to find the yes in your body. Speaking of, let's do that next. So that'll be the last step of kind of our warm up, our intro to the conversation. So this is what we call our pyramid of white light exercise. And it is another step in protection. But again, as I said, we're not protecting from harm. What we're protecting ourselves from is wasted energy, wasted time, distractions, things like that. These are all things that contribute to my ability to be a channel for you and to discern the right messages at the right time, to discern which questions in the comments to dig into in our time together, which, by the way, we'll go to about the top of the hour. Just listening for anything else. Okay. I have an actual white pyramid. It's nothing fancy. You can, it doesn't have to, this is just for visualization's sake. It's kind of a tall, skinny one. Doesn't matter what you visualize. The point is that we're going to go into a visualization exercise. And if you don't want to participate, no problem, just multitask. But for those of you who are choosing to participate, let's just take a deep breath together. Just in any way, no particular way, whatever way feels natural to you. I find myself wanting to just do a little bit of stretching. Okay, now when you feel settled and ready, I want you to imagine a bright white ball of light about 20 feet above you. Imagine that this is a visual representation of unity consciousness. It is pure love, source energy. So see it up there, 20 feet above you, and now let it drop down, down, down into the room you're in, into your physical space, into your heart. Just feel it fill up your heart and then your whole chakra system, and then outward to fill your whole energetic body, and then outward again to fill the whole room with its pyramid shape. So the top of the pyramid is about 20 feet above you where the ball started. And the base of the pyramid, the square, is about where you're sitting or the floor you're in. Just take a moment, feel that energy. We're still early enough in the year. I mean, you could do this anytime, but I always tend to do it early in the year or any sort of threshold time. I add one little step to this exercise, and I just ask myself, is there any lingering echo of old energy that's not in coherence with this new year? I don't judge. It's not a place for judgment. I just push it to the outside of the pyramid. It's just not needed anymore. I give a little gratitude. It had a purpose at one point, otherwise it wouldn't be here, but I don't need it this year. Pushing it out. Now, take a moment. Feel the activation of that pyramid. Feel that it's going to be protecting you from distractions, from wasted energy, from wasted time. So repeat after me. This pyramid of white light will protect me as I am a channel and as I move forward through my day. And now what I'm going to do, and I invite you to watch me, is I'm going to ask for a visual to you, physical for me, physical sensation to show me that yes, the pyramid is activated. I'm asking for a yes in the body. You can ask for that from anyone in your pantheon. I always go to the top. I go to source. I ask source to show me show you. Let me feel a physical sensation. Oh, sorry. Yeah, sometimes it's very jolty, like that one was. He tends to exaggerate for the camera, but for you, it's probably more likely to be something like a tingle, an itch, maybe just a warmth, or maybe nothing. If it's nothing, okay. This is an opportunity for them to practice with you as much as for you to practice with them. So we do it every time. I mean, every time I think of it anyway, every time I have time for. Sometimes we do it at the beginning of these sessions. Sometimes we do it at the end. Sometimes I don't do them at all. But they are meant to be something that you can practice every day, as many times a day as you want. You can, and it's not anything that you ever have to close out. This is a protective pyramid that, I mean, I have it activated all the time. I'm just asking for it for confirmation from time to time. Okay. I haven't quite said who's with me yet today. But they're saying go to your comments to just kind of see who wants to come forward first. Okay. Thank you again to all of you who are here. If you are, hi Gary in the UK. Hi Tiffany, who's driving. Drive safe. I have set this up so that anyone can watch it, but you do have to be a subscriber to make a comment, and you do have to be respectful, which I would assume you will be, right? Stand by. Just listening to what they want to do next. Okay. Next, they are asking me to do a little intro of the rods. I mentioned this a minute ago, but I'm a rods person. This is divining rods or dowsing rods are a tool. My pendulum is a little out of reach, but you probably can imagine what a pendulum looks like. They're both tools for divination. That's really what we're talking about here. Divination is the practice of receiving messages from these interdimensional consciousnesses that I was talking about a few minutes ago. You can learn to do this. The hardest part is hearing the answer, but they hear you. That's the easy part. They hear you easily. You have to do a lot of work to listen and to hear with accuracy the message coming back. They're also adding that, yes, well, they're sort of saying like, add a little footnote to that, because yes, it is easy to connect. It's easy for them to listen. But again, they want me to repeat, like, you need to be thoughtful about who you're connecting to. You don't just want to be like, hello, anybody out there? You want to ask for who you want to ask for. Again, not to just jump right into sort of a shadow side of this work, but it's important for context is that there is a shadow side of this work. And if you're not able to recognize it when it's happening, then the result is wasted time and wasted energy, period. There's, so that's my disclaimer, because I really kind of want to make sure I'm not treating this like a beginner conversation. If you are drawn here, you're drawn here for a reason. You should not consider yourself a beginner. Now, a lot of you who are already in the community, you wouldn't think of yourself as a beginner. We've all been doing this too long for any of us to think of ourselves as a beginner. But if you're just a guest here today, maybe you do consider yourself a beginner. And my Pantheon, which I'll say more about in a minute, is just saying, no, sorry, you don't get to call yourself a beginner anymore. You have officially, they'll give you advanced beginner, maybe. My Pantheon makes me laugh all the time. So I just want to say that when one of the green flags, I guess, as the kids say, one of the things that you are making a correct and authentic connection is when you feel genuine emotion. I mean, I laugh every day in my practice, and I cry every day in my practice, not from sadness, but just from like overwhelming love, gratitude, whatever, some reason or another. And I'm constantly surprised. So they're telling me that a lot of you, especially those of you who are resisting what I said a moment ago of like, you're not a beginner anymore. there's probably a lot of overlap. Like if I were to organize, if they were to like show me a Venn diagram of those of you who think of yourself as definitely still a beginner, despite the fact that they told me to tell you not to think of you that way. There's probably another, like an almost overlapping circle of those of you who believe or question, like, am I making this up? Am I imagining things? Am I crazy? Maybe. And first of all, human me wants to say, welcome to the club. Because that was a huge part of my beginning. Ooh, and they do want me to share with you my story of how that flipped for me, how I actually moved from constantly questioning everything, wanting to believe, but questioning a lot, to then the other way around, like believing a lot and then questioning a little, because we never should lose our ability or our desire to ask questions. That is a red flag of organized religion, by the way. Most organized religions don't want you to ask questions, especially the hard questions. And they definitely don't want you to explore other religions and other ways of thinking. Organized religion says, don't ask questions, just believe this. That's a red flag. So what my Pantheon tells me to tell you is ask a million questions. Never stop asking questions. Stopping asking questions becomes a red flag. All right. But they really are excited about me retelling my story. But they're saying check let me check the comments. Oh, someone's asking about interdivinity immersion. That phrase is in reference to the highest level of membership here on YouTube. And what you get with that is all of the replays of everything I do, including on the TikTok and Zoom. The Zoom office hours that just the immersion level people will be able to join. And that's coming up this Friday, Saturday. This coming Saturday is the first one for those of you in that level. It's noon Eastern. And again, if you missed me saying this earlier, I posted a separate video just at that level that explains how to register. At least I hope it worked. I just was setting it up this morning and I don't think I tested. I am my own tech support. So hopefully that works. You'll let me know if it doesn't. And if it doesn't work yet, it'll work later because I'll fix it. All right, sorry to take us on that little bit of a tangent. Yeah. Oh, Ari was sharing that she had an entire laughing fit yesterday. I assume you mean in your personal practice, and your husband thought you were going insane. Yeah. Okay. All right. So I want to share with you, since this is a little bit of a introduction to me, maybe, and even for those of you, I've heard from you that those of you who have heard the story before enjoy it. I certainly enjoy telling it. So let me tell you a story. Let me tell you a story about the point in my spiritual awakening when I was, like I was saying a minute ago, I hadn't yet flipped. I was still in the stage of mostly questioning with a sprinkling of, this feels really real. This feels real in my body, but my brain is just absolutely unwilling to accept that this isn't anything but like one of those options. Am I crazy? Am I imagining things? Am I being messed with? All of those things floated through. So if that's the stage you're in right now, you are totally normal. And if that's the stage you recall going through in the past, again, normal. And I'm sure you can echo that. And if you got to skip that stage, you're lucky, because I wish I had, but because it was silly. It's really silly, but understandable. And again, we never are supposed to accept anything with blind faith. Never accept anything with blind faith. They're reminding me of a phrase that like, I thought I made it up, but like, there's so many things that I'm just like, wait, was that from my human brain or was that from you? And they're like, no, I guess this particular phrase was from my human brain. But early on, I said, all right, I'll give you 99% of my, uh, heart, like my belief, but I'm reserving 1% for skepticism, healthy skepticism. And they're like, perfect. So you're invited to do that too. Now, let me get into my story because it's so much fun. Okay. And then I definitely want to have time for your questions too. And by the way, I will mention that this story comes way before aliens. So if you're here for the aliens, you just get to wait. They're telling me we will talk about aliens eventually, but not yet. So you just have to listen to my story first, and then we will get to aliens. So let me take you back to the point in time when I had received. I'm just like listening to where they want me to start because it's like, well, where's the beginning? What's the story start line? Okay, well, it was sort of like in the not the big beginning. That would just make the story way too long. So I'm going to just jump to the end of the beginning when I had purchased my first set of dowsing rods and I had gotten over the hump of pulling them out of the package. I mean, I don't even know how many days I had them sitting in my house, like in the package, because I was just like, it feels important and scary, kind of. And then so I finally opened the package. I finally put them in my hands and went through a sequence that I want. Like I could, the longer version of the story is I would start there, but they're just saying jump ahead. So I'd gone through that. I had learned how to use the rods to a point that it felt accurate. I learned how to protect myself, again, protect from wasting time and energy. Learn how to diagnose who I was talking to, or at least confirm that they were here for my highest good. So I had already learned a whole lot. But that still didn't stop me from asking myself, like, is this real? Is this real? Is this real? And so I asked for, well, I was asking for a few things at that time. They're reminding me. One of the things I asked for was like at least one other human that I could talk to who could like help me. I mean, I was spiritual but not religious prior to this. I was not, well, I called myself medium woo-woo. I paid a little bit of attention to things, but I was not prepared for what was happening. And I wanted to find an expert who could just like guide me. So that was one of my requests. And then my other request was, can you just like, is there some kind of evidence, something to just help me stop asking myself, am I crazy? Because like that would be nice. That one in particular would be nice to let go of. So I was at the point where I had learned the rods well enough that I could confirm that I knew who I was talking to and that they were connected with me for my highest and greatest good. And I was getting solid yeses and nos, all of which took time. So if you're learning, if you're at the beginning, just remember that all of those things take time. Now we're at the official beginning of the story. So another thing I had done in conjunction with the rods is I had purchased quite a few books. I mean, you can see a lot of them right here, but at this time it was maybe 20% of what I now own. But it felt like a lot, especially considering that most prior to that, I would only ever read, it digitally, either ebooks or audiobooks. And so owning physical books was kind of unusual for me at that stage of my life. Because I had like gotten rid of my books because I was like, who reads books anymore? And so I donated a bunch of them a while back. Anyway, I had accumulated these books that I had gotten guidance to purchase. And now they're saying use the rods to tell the story from here. Okay. And by the way, if those of you who are brand new to rods, let me just start the story with just this little intro. They're made of copper. The rods themselves are not magic, but they indicate the magic part, which is I connect with a higher being of my choice in my development of my pantheon. You'll hear me use that word if you're new to me. And then they send a signal to my body, which is responded to by the plasma in my body, which creates either a positive or negative charge, which then is reflected by the rods. So that's what's technically happening. It's physics. They're going to show, well, they're saying show what they look like when there's no energy moving through them. They're quite, what I call them, floppy. They don't behave very well. They're hard to control if you're trying to, like, if I wanted to make them cross for you, I would it would be pretty obvious that I was struggling. I can kind of do it. Anyway, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask my team. I'm just going to ask the whole council of 9 because they're like hovering. They all want to talk, so they can all come in and do this exercise together. Okay, so first of all, neutral is straight ahead. And if you've ever held rods in your hands, you know that this is even hard to do when at first they might not even do this. But then what you do is you ask, may I please see a yes? So a yes crosses. Now for me, it also goes all the way around at my neck. Sometimes it's considered a hug yes, like a big yes. Sometimes this is what they do when they tell me hang out in the yes, because it's a little easier for them if they can kind of rest against my neck, unless they want to get my attention, in which case they just start moving like that. So anyway. Oh, sorry. They're like, show the no. Okay, again, from neutral looks like this, and then a no. Will you please show us a no? No goes outward. That's what it would look like for you. Now, again, I have thousands of hours of practice. So sometimes for speed's sake, especially if I'm just like directly channeling, and it like I just said a minute ago, sometimes they have me hang out in the yes, and then they would just like drop away to indicate no. And sometimes it's just like that one, and just to be like, oh, whoops, let me edit that. So it's not necessarily going to look like that for you, but you might see that in this session when I'm channeling. Oh, and I also get itchy. I get itchy, and occasionally I get burps of confirmation. So apologies in advance. Okay, back to the story. Come on. Okay, so here I am in my closet. For context, imagine me sitting on the floor of my little closet. I mean, it's technically a walk-in closet, but it's about as small as you can get and still call it a walk-in closet. So a very small closet. But I was able to close the door behind me, sit down on the floor, and clear out my lowest shelf. And I made a little altar where I could center my attention. And then above that was another shelf where I had stacked these books. And so again, I have these questions. So I'm asking they're saying hold the rods. So I am in session. I've totally done everything, all the preparation. And one of my questions was, is there a particular book that I should read next? And I got a yes. And I'm like, great. And then I'm looking upwards. I'm like looking at the stacks that are on this shelf. And I'm like, okay, is it in that pile? Like I went like, is it in that pile? And they said no. And then okay, back to neutral. And I'm like, okay, I think there was like 3 piles. And so I'm like, okay, is it in the middle pile, that pile? And they're like, no. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, it must be the 3rd pile, but like just to confirm, it's that pile? And they're like, no. And I'm like, oh, okay. So there is a book that I should read next, but it's not in this collection, correct? Correct. I'm like, okay. Is it, so then again, for those of you learning divination, this was like an experiment, an example of practicing lots and lots of yes, no questions. So I want you to hear this story, not only for the story's sake, but also in hearing how to make yes, no questions work for you. Okay. So here I am. I'm like, okay, yes, there is a book that is for my highest and greatest good to read next, but it is not, I don't currently own it. Correct. And then I'm like, okay, is it a book that I can order, that I should order from Amazon? No. By the way, did you notice that little, I changed my words as I was telling the story, because my question was not, is it a book I could order from Amazon? It was, is it a book I should order from Amazon? So I got to know. And then I'm like, okay, is it a book that I should buy from a bookstore? Yes. And I'm like, okay. And at the time, I can't even, I couldn't even remember the last time I stepped foot into a bookstore. I mean, I purchased used books online a lot, but like usually if I have to buy a book, I just, I go online. Anyway, so I'm like, okay, you want me to go to a bookstore? Yes. Okay. So then I'm just thinking in my head, like, where is even a bookstore these days? And I'm like, okay, there's a mall. Okay, at the mall. And they're like, yeah, you could go there. I'm like, okay, is there a best store for me to go to? Yes. And then I'm thinking, and then I'm like, oh, there's that, back to neutral. Like, there's that used bookstore down this. And so then I got a big yes. I'm like, oh, the used bookstore down the street. I've never stepped foot in, but it was a block and a half down. So I got a big yes to that. I'm like, okay. So you're telling me that, yes, there's a book I should read next. No, it's not on my bookshelf, but yes, I should go to the used bookstore down the street to get it. Okay. So I got confirmation on that so far. Yes. Okay. So now I'm like, all right, ask for a particular title of a book. No. Okay. Back to neutral. Thank you. Ask for a particular author. Oh, that's right. They did kind of confirm an author because I was reading a lot of Dolores Cannon at that point, and I was like, oh, maybe you want me to ask for Dolores Cannon? And they're like, yeah, that might be good. Like, you might as well pick up a couple new Dolores Cannon books if they have any, which they, by the way, spoiler alert, they didn't, but that wasn't the point of the story. So, like, this is part of how your brain works too, and how okay, this is a little tangent off the story, but it is a good lesson in discernment that I did get a yes to Dolores Cannon, and I might have stopped there. This is the lesson that's coming in at this moment that they haven't pointed out. Yes. I might have stopped there. I might have been like, okay, cool. Dolores Cannon. I'm going to go down to the used bookstore and ask, buy up their Dolores Cannon section, which again, they had zero. But, if I had stopped there in my session, I wouldn't have gotten to the Magick part that's coming next. All right. But so what I did do is I confirmed. I said, okay, so I should ask for Dolores Cannon. Yes. Is there a particular book by Dolores Cannon that I'm supposed to read next? Is she the author of the book I'm supposed to read next? No. Okay. Because that's where this all started, is what specific book should I read next? For my highest and greatest good was the whole question. So then I kept getting curious. I'm like, okay, well, what I know so far is I'm supposed to go to the bookstore down the street and ask for, well, Dolores Cannon, but also it felt in my body there's something else. So ask for a particular topic. Yes. Okay. So then, of course, I'm starting to connect. I'm trying. My human brain wants to jump in at this point again and be like, "Ooh, okay. Ask for books about past life regression, because that's Dolores Cannon." No. And then I'm like, okay. Books about angels, because I was doing a lot of work with angels at that point. No. Books about, back to neutral. Books about spirituality, new age, blah, blah, blah. I was going through as many things as my human brain could come up with. No. So then I now know it was like finally a little download, but this was like in my early stages of getting little baby downloads. And I heard this, like, the list on your phone. So I said something on the list on my phone. And I got a yes. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So then I don't have my phone on me for visual aid, but on my phone, I had a notes, just a notes document of when I would go through my day. I would just, anytime I would think of something that I wanted to ask, my little baby Pantheon, my angels, I think it was mostly who I talked to at this point. I would make a note in this topics list on my phone. And it would just any super random list. I've had maybe a dozen at this point in the story. So I got this download. I'm like, oh, ask for a topic from the list on my phone. And I got a yes. I'm like, cool. So then I pulled out my phone and I went to the notes document and I like started with topic, like the random topic that was at the top of the list. I'm like, okay, dragons. And they were like, yes. I'm like, dragons? Dragons? And they're like, yes. And I'm like, okay. So I should go to the bookstore down the street and ask for books about dragons. Is that right? Is that right? And they said yes. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of odd, but okay. And then it was like maybe mid-afternoon, 4 p.m. or so, and I had finished my work day. That was always how I always like finished my I'm self-employed. I've always been self-employed, so I always got to control my work life. So I would like finish my day and then jump. So anyway, the point was, I still had a couple hours before they would close. I'm like, ooh, I have a couple hours before they close. Should I go now? And they said no. And I'm like, okay. So I should go to the used bookstore, ask for books about dragons, but don't go today. Is that correct? And they said yes. I'm like, okay. Should I go tomorrow? And they said yes. And then I'm like, okay, well, like in my head, I'm going, well, I have a meeting in the morning that's, off site. I'll be in my car anyway. And I could easily walk, but I'll be in my car anyway. So I could just like swim in. And there's a coffee shop next to it. I'm like, oh, I'll just like grab a coffee. And so I'm like, okay. So I'm like, so how about tomorrow at about like 11:30? Would that work? And they're like, yeah. And so I'm like, okay. So this is the story. And if you're new to divination, and if you haven't heard this story, this is what to hear at this point in the story is it is possible to get direction that is that specific using just yes, no questions. So again, I was instructed by my angels, that's who I was connected with at the time, to go to the bookstore down the street, ask for books about dragons, not a particular author, not a particular title, but topic of books about dragons. But don't go today, go tomorrow, mid-morning. So, went on with my life, went to bed, woke up, went to my business meeting, was in my car, didn't forget, because there was part of me that's like, I hope I don't forget to do that. I was like, such a fun little idea. I should just do it, just for fun. I just totally thought it would be like fun. And it was fun. Because I walked in, they're just like saying like, yeah, okay, so this is where they're going to just have me like hang out in the yes. So I walked in and I'd never been in them before, as I said. And it was like exactly like a used bookstore should be, in my opinion. It was, first of all, pretty small, but it was just like floor to ceiling books, just like either on shelves or in piles or both, and like piles in front of shelves. And it was just super packed. I don't know how anyone would find anything in there. So I kind of walked, my first reaction was like, whoa, I wasn't expecting this. And then immediately to my right was the cashier, which I could barely even see because, again, there's like multiple piles on the counter. And also, weirdly, it still had the detail, the COVID plexiglass. So it was kind of like this weird sort of experience of like, I felt like I was in this little bubble. And so she looks at, oh, sorry, I put my... they want to be so she looks at me and I look at her and she's like, can I help you? And I'm like, I mean, in my head, I'm sort of like, take me to your dragon section. Like I just imagined like this type of store should have like tons of books about dragons. It just had that feeling. And like I've even pictured them like, oh, sorry, they're like emphasizing. I was picturing like antique, like weird old books about dragons. So I was about to say like, take me to your abundant dragon section. But then my eye went from her down just to the top of the pile that was directly in between us. And now I'm going to show you the book that was on top of the pile between us, as she was asking me, can I help you find something? And I'm just about to say, take me to your dragon section. This is the book that was on top of the pile in this chaotic used bookstore right between us. This is literally the book. And I was about, and I like look down and this book is sitting here and I'm like, I was just about to ask you if you have any books about dragons. And she's like, oh yeah, that just came in. That just came in. That just came in. So that is my story for what you can expect to happen on this journey. And that's also the story that tells you why I am able to proceed with such confidence, is because this is the most dramatic story, but it's not the only story along these lines. I mean, these things have happened, again, not quite so vividly, so dramatically that makes such a good story for you. But another example actually is I got a strong message to like don't like buy this book, but also keep going back. So they kept sending me back and I kept asking, is there a certain title, certain author? And they're like, nope. And I would go to the spirituality section and I would be like, and this was also when I was just trying to learn what a yes felt in my body. Just like some of you are at the beginning of that journey too. And so I would go to this bookstore and I'd be standing in front of like the spirituality and new age section. And I would be like feeling, I I kept feeling like yes, yes, yes. Like every book was a yes. And I'm just like, there's something wrong because I'm feeling a yes from every single book, and that can't possibly be correct. Like I don't have room for all these books anyway. So like, and so I kept thinking that my inner discernment was broken because I kept hearing, yes, all of them. Yes, all of them. And go back again. And again, that the only time I drove there was that first time. The rest of the time I would just walk there. And I would carry my little like canvas bags, and like however much I could like physically walk a block and a half. And I did. And so that's how most of the books in my studio now are from that effort, because I was just like, I don't know why you keep telling me to buy all these books, but they're cool books, but I'm never going to read them. And then there's another thing is like, they're just like, oh, you don't have to read them. It's not about you reading them. And I'm like, well, what's the point then? And they just kept saying like, get the books. Then a couple months later, the whole corner that it was on, so the bookstore plus the coffee shop plus the restaurant and some other place, totally flooded. It was like a sewer main, or I don't know, something happened. Totally flooded. The bookstore lost like 80% of its inventory, and the books needed me. That's what was coming through. I don't think I said that phrase, but I kept hearing the books needed me. The books need. I'm like, what? So anyway, these are the ones that were saved. But unfortunately, human me eventually stopped going back because I was like, I don't have any more space. So that's kind of the semi-sad story ending. But the point is, let's get back to the happy part. You guys, this is how specific and powerful this work can be. Okay. All right. I am just going to check in on your comments. And again, I'm not going to try to catch all of them, but I am seeing you talking about books and Dolores Cannon, rods. So, let me say a little bit more, because since there is some of you here who are brand new to this conversation, and again, if you're just stumbling onto me, I have this open to anyone who wants to view it, but you do have to be a subscriber to make a comment. So if you have a burning question, I mean, I probably won't get to it because I'm going to say goodbye in 5 minutes, but that's how I set it up. Let me just tune in to see what we want to do. Ooh, I see some of you sharing and supporting each other. Thank you for that. Okay. They're talking about books. They're talking about rods. Okay, and I see Lauren's question about the energy of anger. I knew they were trying to get me to something, and that this is what it is. Disconnected from the positive energy. Okay, this is such an important question slash topic. It's not really even a question, it's a comment. All right, let's get to some channeled messages. No, hang on. Confirmation burp, and I haven't even started. Hang on. So this is the Council of Nine. If you're new to me, just know that that is my primary pantheon. That is the 9 deities that all other deities roll up to. There is an infinite pantheon of gods and deities available to us. Every god of every religion is real to some degree, but they all roll up to the 9 in some way, and so the 9 is who I connect with for the kind of purest. Well, okay, they're saying talk with my hands. Imagine a pyramid. Imagine a pyramid. The base, the big foundation of the pyramid, which is so essential, that is the whole infinite pantheon of gods. Infinite pantheon of gods. Every god of every religion. Anything you can even imagine. Any god of any future religion. It all lives here, and it is the base of inner divinity. Then there's 2 other layers. The next layer up is, they're calling the source realm. So this is the pantheon realm. Next is the source realm, and that's where source and Sophia, so source energy, Sophia consciousness, that's where they collaborate. That's where all the action begins, is what they're saying. And then the tippy top of the pyramid, that represents your highest power, whatever name you want to give it. I use the word source. If we have to boil it down to one highest power, one singular entity, which we can and should, and then we can give it whatever name we want. If you want to call it God, you can call it God, but it is non-binary. It is unity consciousness. It is pure love. That is the tippy top. That is the tippy top of the pyramid. That is here. That's where we're all trying to go. That's where our soul wants to return home to. That's where we start, and that's where we return to, and then we're given another assignment, and then we keep growing. So there's no plateaus if we're doing it right anyway. All right. So now again, we're describing what they wanted me to describe for you is the realm that we as humans have the ability, the potential to tap into. It's simple, but it is not easy. It takes a lot of practice. I have literally thousands of hours. I had thousands of hours before I even made my first video, which now I just hit my 1-year anniversary. So it took a long time to get there, and you can get there too, though, is the point. There's nothing unique about me that makes any of this possible for me that's not possible for you. Whenever I say something like that, they're like, well, it happened a little faster for you than most people. So I'm not like, okay, yeah. So it did happen fast for me, and I didn't have a me. I didn't have a teacher. I mean, of course, you have plenty of teachers. I'm one option for you, but I didn't even look for a teacher. So, well, until I was in the middle of it. I did tell you, I hit that point where I'm just like, is there someone more advanced in this work than me who can help me? And they did give me, for the record, they gave me 2 names of people that they thought could maybe help me, and 2 names of people that I could help, but that the 3 of us could muddle through it together. So they gave me a total of 4 names. I first reached out to the 2 that would help me, they were both elders. I mean, they were a couple decades older than me. They had pedigree. I was shy. I was intimidated to even reach out, but I was motivated. I reached out. I offered to pay that. I offered as respectfully as I could to just have them mentor me, and they both declined me for different reasons. But anyway, and then On the other side, again, I don't know why they're telling me tell you this tangent story. We'll get back to where they were taking us. Silly. Anyway, there were two people that were very close friends of mine who they told me, my Pantheon told me that the reason that the three of us were friends is because we all had the same capacity. So as I mentioned, the gift that came into me, not only, I mean, sorry, they're kind of getting annoyed with me because I'm sort of making it sound like I'm downplaying it, like, oh, it's no big deal. It's a big deal. Clairsentience is the specific gift that I have, but they're just trying to say that, and everyone can learn this. And for me, it came in a little faster because I have a gift. These two friends of mine also were given a gift. They didn't tell me if it was the same gift, but it was a similar gift. And I thought that we were going to like start this cohort together and muddle through this, but it totally freaked them out. So anyway, I don't really know why they were telling me that. There's usually a reason. I think that little anecdote was for any of you who are kind of maybe in the middle of your journey and you are starting to feel maybe a sense of obligation, like you're supposed to share this with others. Because I definitely got to a point where actually, to be frank, it was easier to go on YouTube and TikTok and talk to, supposedly strangers, than to talk to my friends, like friends in real life. And so I didn't, especially after that first experience where it got pretty much shut down. I was like, okay, I'm gonna just do my thing, live my life. And whoever comes to me from my real life, my real friends, anyone who comes to me and asks me questions, I would love to share with them, but I am not going to like proactively be like, "Hey friends, let me tell you about my spiritual awakening. Let me tell you about going to the bookstore." you know. No, I got to a point where I was just super selective in who got to hear that story. So what does that have to do with this? Stand by. All right. Now that we're past the top of the hour, I'm going to wrap it up and say goodbye. But this is what they wanted me to do. They wanted me to just kind of, just like if I was giving a lesson or something, they want me to just hit home the things that they want you to know, like they want you to walk away with. 1, everything begins with feeling the yes in your body. Whether you use rods, pendulum, anything else, that's all great and extra, but it first has to start in your body. You have to learn. I mean, they don't use the phrase have to very often. And so I'm just asking them, what's the conditions of have to? If you have decided to pursue divination, inner divinity, if you really want to walk this journey, not just hear messages, but live this, there's a lot I can and have taught. But the very first thing you need to do, whether you learn from me moving forward or someone else, or you figure it out, you stumble along by yourself like I did. I mean, like I said, I didn't have a me. I didn't have a teacher that really taught me what I'm now teaching you. And you don't have to listen to me. It's possible to do this by yourself. I just don't recommend it. I don't know. But anyway, point is, start by feeling the yes in your body. You can use the exercise, the pyramid of white light, to do that. Ask for confirmation. Decide who you're calling in for that confirmation. Don't just be like, hey, anybody want to give me a yes? Because that's inviting in, who knows what little troublemakers might want to teach you a lesson about hygiene, like, oh, did you forget to call in someone specific? Oh, well, look who popped in, a little trickster. Apollo is actually like waving his like, hello. Apollo is my personal trickster. Also a beloved member of my Pantheon. So tricksters, that's not like a code word for, bad. It just means I was not learning from the softer teachers. So Apollo came in when needed to be like, Missy, listen up. All right. Closing words. Start with the yes in your body. Always start with the yes in your body. This is going to be more and more important, not just if you're walking this path with me and not just if you're learning divination, but for living in the world we're living in. You're going to have to be able to discern a story on the news, a story in social media. And you might say to yourself, well, that's already true, right? Yes, it's already true, but there's more coming. They just keep warning me. There's more and more coming that will be so unbelievable. They're showing it to me like this. Truths are going to be revealed that are so unbelievable that then the propaganda is going to match that and also try to get out ahead of that. So that by the time we hear the truth, it's combined with a whole lot of fiction. And so the objective of the opposing forces, again, most of you know this, but they're wanting me to remind you. The objective of the opposing forces is to exhaust us, to get us to the point where we either completely outsource our own discernment and just be like, okay, church, tell me what to believe, or okay, political party, tell me what to believe. We outsource it. Or we sort of like give up. I was going to say insource it. We just don't resource it. We give up. We say everything is too confusing. Everything is so unbelievable. Everything is terrible. I'm just going to put my head in the sand. So they don't want us to do that either. What they want us to do is to build our ability to recognize truth when we hear it and feel it, and recognize the absence of truth when we are being served up propaganda. We need to be able to ask questions like, is that true? And if we feel nothing, I mean, maybe we'll feel a yes, it depends on what you're talking about. But if you don't feel a yes, then you can ask more questions. Is it propaganda? Is it fiction? Is it a story meant to make me feel afraid? Is it a story meant to make me feel powerless? Those sorts of things. And you will eventually get yeses. But you can't get the yeses until you learn what the yes feels like. So that's why we start with the pyramid of white light, because you will always get a yes. The answer to the question of is the pyramid of white light in place and activated, that is 100% of the time the answer is yes. So the question is just, can you feel the yes? All right. Coming back to their summary points. Feel the yes in your body. Anyone can learn this. It's becoming more and more important to be able to feel the yes in your body. Oh, they're reminding me we didn't talk about aliens yet, because that was like what I was hearing the next thing. But they're saying pull out the rods. All right, the next thing I was about to say, we'll start with neutral. I feel like you were about to say the motherships are coming. Yes, they just want you to see like the yes. Oh, well, it's a little bit of a pause because they're here. It's like a technical distinction. They are here. They're just not visible. They're in place, but in a different dimension. They have to come into density. Yes. So what we don't know is the time. We don't know when. I stopped asking. I told them that I gave them three tries last year. 3 tries. January, March, and June. And then that was it. I gave a little baby September. Like, I think it's going to be September, but it wasn't September. And okay, fine. I keep trying to think like, aren't we going to say goodbye? And they're like, no, one more thing. Okay, one more thing. This is a brain melty part. And for those of you who are brand new to me, just, I don't know, hang in there. And if you're not yet part of one of my memberships, I recommend it, because this is the stuff we talk about, brain melty stuff. There are timelines where the motherships came in March, in June, in September, in December, in January. Like, there are timelines. And now we're at the point they tell me, okay, this is just hanging out in the yes. and this is the entire Council of Nine, they're telling me now that we are at the point where there are timelines. They're saying pretty much every day, every calendar day on Earth that goes by right now, early January 2026, there is a timeline where the motherships show up. Yes. And what they're looking for is the sweet spot of the very best time for them to show up. They know they're close. But they're watching two levers. Okay, I had to use my hands for this. There's two levers in humanity that they are needing to find the sweet spot, because they don't. They're levers that tend to work in opposition, and they're looking for this sweet spot. They want both levers to be medium, and the two levers are fear and worship. Fear and worship, because they don't want fear to be too high, because that's what happened most of the past timelines that were not for our highest and greatest good. There was too much of the fear quotient to the point where like wars broke out. It was bad. And then like the longer they wait, there's more potential that the pendulum is going to swing too far, because if fear goes down too far, then it's like a seesaw. What comes up is worship, and they don't want to be worshipped. And I mean, it's complicated, but that's the short version of the story of what went wrong in the time of the Anunnaki. There was like zero fear, and therefore worship, lots of worship. So anyway, this is the point they wanted me to end with, and then we'll say goodbye. But they just want you to know that that's what they're looking for. They're looking for the sweet spot where there's some amount of fear, because if there wasn't fear, there would be too much worship. And there's some amount of worship, because if there wasn't some amount of worship, then there'd be too much fear. It's just levers. And so they're trying to get to the point of medium. And then, okay, the last comment they're saying to end with, for those of you who are brand new, just for the record, the aliens are not coming to save us. They're not coming to take anyone away. They're not going to land. They're just, for now anyway, for the foreseeable future, they have no plans otherwise. They are going to stay in the sky over mountains and oceans and things like that, unpopulated areas. They are in place already. They are waiting for the sweet spot to come into density, starting from neutral. Is that all accurate so far? Like just a big, okay, they want to do it. Yes. All right. So now I really do need to say goodbye. But first, from the Council of Nine, anything else you want to say before I say goodbye? Oh, that's a weird neutral. Why would that be neutral? Oh, there's they're saying go to the comments. One more thing. Again, they're like, well, but one more thing. Hang on. Here it is. I didn't know that this is what they were going for. I knew that there was something that they wanted me to look at. Let me just make sure that I've got what they wanted me to comment about. Okay, yeah. I see that some of you were talking about plant medicine in the comments, and they didn't want me to say goodbye without addressing that. So let me tune in. That's why there was no answer, is because they were done with that topic, but there was one more topic, plant medicine. Stand by. Okay, they're just coming in hot and being like, yes, plant medicine, big yes. It's just like anything else, including like caffeine, sugar, alcohol, anything. That's not about it being legal or not. It's about a substance that can shift you from your natural way of being to a different way of being. Plant medicine, for most people, not all people, but most people, plant medicine, when used at a healthy dose for you, can be a wonderful tool to help you tune in to these higher dimensions. Absolutely. Like this is like a hell yes. Please, if you find yourself curious, then pursue it. Pursue it in a healthy way, obviously. Again, just like anything else. You've just got to use your own discernment. Start small. Find a coach or teacher if you can, if you're going to try something real new to you. But yes, okay, so that's really wanted to end. They just didn't want me to say goodbye without like acknowledging yes to plant medicine, yes to plant medicine. Okay, all right, let me just double check. Anything else on any other topic or anything else at all for today? No. Okay, thank you. All right. Well, thank you to those of you who were guests today. Maybe you were brand new to me. And then also, of course, huge thanks to those of you who are members. And I see you regularly in the comments. This is an invitation to those of you who are new to me or new to these live sessions, that if you'd like more of this, I do it now 3 times a week on YouTube. But you do have to upgrade to the Inner Divinity Community registration level, membership level here on YouTube. So I am so excited to be here with you this year. I do look forward to those of you who have opted into the immersion level. I will be seeing you on Saturday on Zoom. I will see your faces if you choose to share them with me. But then I will be back here on YouTube Thursday at noon Eastern. And then also Saturday before Zoom, I will be on YouTube again at 11 a.m. Eastern. Okay, thanks everybody. I will see you again. I don't know when. We'll do this again sometime soon. Bye, everyone.